So after all this, we can finally get to making a bar. So you might have done this before and just grabbed on and realized that it could be really hard. Well, there are some ways to make it easier, ways to think about it so that it is much, much easier for you. So to begin with, you always want to have your thumb on the hand side of the first finger. So you don't want it this way. You want it this way all the time. And this is true most of the time, a large majority of the time playing guitar anyway. If you don't have nearly as much movement in your hands available to you. So to bring your thumb onto the hand side of the first finger. That's your line. So keeping that way, what we're going to do is just to put on, you can do it anywhere you like, but just grab onto the guitar with that first finger and just pinch it and hold it there. And now release your arm and your shoulder and your elbow and everything else to where it is your fingertips holding on, your fingers holding onto the guitar that keep your hand from falling. And then so that if you can loosely release the tension a little bit, it would just fall. Because the only thing holding it up is the fingers. You're not actually using any muscle to hold your arm up. It's not that if you let go, your arm stays up, because that means that you're using your arm. Instead, just let yourself hang on the guitar so that if you release some pressure, it'll just fall. And I would just practice this and get used to releasing all of this. Now, the reason that this helps is that because your arm is behind, your shoulder is behind the guitar neck, whenever you allow this to happen, whenever you just kind of release a little bit and allow your weight to come into play a little bit, it's going to pull down and in. It's going to pull back this way. That's what direction gravity is wanting to pull you. So just this right here could help your bar chords immensely because it'll halfway press the strings down just by itself. Not all the way, but very little pressure from your finger, and you'll be able to do this. So this already is reducing some of the strain on this muscle right here, which is the big bar chord cramper muscle. You'll still need muscle, and you'll still build muscle in working with bar chords because it does take some, but we can reduce the amount that it needs. One of the ways is through this. So doing this, great. The next is how we actually place the bar and thinking about how this bar is working. Now, what we typically want to do is this, which is put flat across and pinch it. And there's a couple of problems with this. First off, the side of your finger right here is it's really cushy. It's really padded. This is where the pad of our fingers are and everything. And we also have these big creases where our joints are. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to put very close or on top of the fret. We're going to lay it down. And then we're going to bring our thumb. I'm just going to show you my thumb. I'm going to bring it further towards the little finger so that it's offset from the first finger, like this. It's offset. It's not like this. It's like this. And because we can do that, then we can do a couple of things. First off, to begin with, we can torque. It's a radius ulna movement. Those are the bones in your arms. And so it's this motion right here, turning a light bulb, turning a doorknob. You can do this. And that way we torque on the guitar like this. And so we're using the weight of our hand. It's not just fingers pressing here. It's the weight of our hand is going in. And so what you could do is just brace your thumb in a spot and then do this backwards karate chop thing like this and just practice that action. You won't do this, of course, when you're actually playing bar chords, but it's that action we really need to master, is thinking back. And what that does is puts you on the side of your finger. So now that we've got that, we can come back to our position, put your finger over the fret or just behind it, not very far back because we're going to now roll back a little bit. You can think about it like if you were rolling up a towel or a burrito. You can put your thumb back where we were just talking about and then press in and then give yourself some back pressure this way and it will roll the skin of your finger back onto the side. And so what that does is it'll really tighten up the skin on the finger and it'll also press down the string more. And that is That's how we make a bar. It doesn't take a whole lot of strength to do this. You'll use too much at first, and you should just know that, because your muscles have to learn what's needed and what isn't. And so as time goes on, this will get easier and easier because you'll use less and less muscle. You'll learn what the appropriate muscles to use are, and you'll do them. There's no way I can really tell you that, because it's these little bitty micro movements in your fingers and arms and your weight and everything else. But as time goes on, you will get it more and more. Do the old tuck and roll. So you tuck your finger on and then you push it back. Back pressure just like this. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to want to bring your fingers this way. Your fingers are all going to want to crowd up onto the bar and help out. This finger will be very helpful right here and wanting to press down as well like this. And so ideally you do this, tuck that, and then practice extending those fingers away from it. And yes, this is hard and it will seem impossible, but just know that eventually this will happen. And so do a tuck, do a roll, push the fingers this way. And this is your practice. And I would just do this as much as you possibly can, as frequently, not as much, but as frequently as you can throughout your practice. Then give yourself, do it just for a few seconds, just a couple times, and then do whatever else you're doing. And then come back and do it again. Do a few of these, put it on, and then do these stretches like this. Ideally, your fingers stay on this side of your index finger and don't flop way over there. Eventually, we're going to need those fingers, right? And that's coming up in the next video. And so, first things first, get that bar. So things to practice, review. This, being able to just hang on the guitar and release your weight into the neck so that you're hanging more on your finger. You won't do this as completely as this when you're playing, but you will a little bit and it will help. And then we have the twisting motion, which means our thumb needs to be this away, needs to be closer to behind our second finger, and that way we can twist back like this, and you can actually practice doing this. Keeping the thumb where it is, and then just doing that chop. And then we place on the fret, just behind the fret, tuck and roll. Push back that way. It's like creating suction to drink out of a straw. You just have to do it. Boom, push that way. And then we can exercise wiggling your other fingers in that position. Wiggle them, push them this way. Notice what's happening. That's the scoop. All right, in the next video, we will get into the different types of bar chords and how to make them and how to practice them.